With the Switch 2 Direct imminent, I think it's probably the last time I can actually put out my predictions, for real this time. So let's just get right into it. So despite this being a Nintendo Direct, I actually don't think they're going to open on the game because I think the hardware is probably more important. Plus, if they reveal a game, they would probably want to have a release date as well, but they can't really do that until we know the release date of the console itself. So that's why I think they're actually going to show more of the console first. I don't think they're really going to go deep into the specs of it, but I do think they're going to show the resolution in docked mode as well as the screen that it comes with, and I think we'll also hear about the battery life and the storage, which I think is probably going to be like 256 gigabytes. And I think they'll also show off the Joy-Con 2, which is what I think they're going to be called, and they're going to show off like how it magnetically connects to the Switch and stuff like that. But there was like a rumor where the Joy-Con can connect to the console upside down, but I don't really think that's going to be the case, and some people might question like how would they even be able to stop it. Well, they just have different polarity on each side of the console. But also I think part of the reason why they wouldn't want to do that is because it creates more of a problem than being able to connect upside down, because, well, for one, if it has different polarity, then it literally won't be able to connect upside down, so that won't even be a problem. But also because if you make it so that you can connect to the console upside down, then that's more of a problem, because then people will have upside down consoles and try to dock them, and that will be an issue in and of itself. So I think having reverse polarity on each side of the console actually makes it so that there's only one way you can connect these things, and there's going to be no issue like how the Switch had some people try to put it upside down. This one you literally wouldn't be able to do that because the magnets would repel each other. I also think they're going to go into the thumbsticks and about how they're improved. I think they'll probably be using Hall Effect or some other technology that's basically mitigates Joy-Con drift, because I don't think they want to have to deal with that anymore. And of course, they're going to show off the MouseCon functionality, and that might be what they call it, MouseCon or MouseCon mode. But either way, I think they're going to show it. I also think they're going to show off what the C button is. Now, of course, the C button has been leaked like a long time ago, but actually more recently, Nintendo actually did leak it on their Nintendo Today app. The previous renders did not have the C on the button, but now we actually know that it does have the C on the button. Not that we didn't already know that, but now they're actually going to show what it does. Now, there was a rumor recently where basically if you press the C button, it basically turns it into Wii U mode, so you can connect a Switch 1 or presumably Switch 2 to it as well, and basically have like two screens in that case, which I think would be really awesome, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think it's more of like a social feature than anything, and I think what they're going to do is going to show off it does like multiple things, and then it's going to have like a whole list of like words that begin with C. It's like chat, connect, community, something like that, and it's just gonna have like a whole list of, you know, words that begin with C, and then it's just gonna have like the C button, and it, basically it's like a whole thing. So I think primarily it's just gonna be like another social feature. As for the price, I think it's gonna be basically $400 US, so $399.99, and I think it's just gonna be the one SKU. I don't think there's gonna be multiple SKUs. There may be like different colors like they did with Switch 1, but to be honest, I sort of doubt that, especially considering there's barely any color on it to begin with. And for the release date, I think it's actually gonna be June 5th, which is the first Thursday of June. But actually, before they reveal the price and the release date, I think they're actually, like right after they show the MouseCon gimmick, I think they're actually going to show an EPD4 game, which is sort of what they did with Switch 1 in the 2017 presentation, when they showed 1-2 Switch for the first time. But except this time, I think it's actually going to be Nintendo Switch 2 Arcade. And this would basically be like a bunch of mini games you'd find in an arcade. No like video game, like arcade games, but like, you know, of course with the MouseCon, the most obvious one, the most obvious gimmick game that you could do, in my opinion, would probably be air hockey. I think that'd be awesome. You slide it around, you could feel the vibration when you hit the puck, back and forth, all that. You'd also have skee ball, darts, you know, because you're aiming with like a mouse. I think that'd be cool. And of course, like a bunch of other mini games as well. It'd be like a sort of, you know, montage of all these different mini games that are in there. And it could also just be called like Switch 2 Play or something like that, sort of like how there's Wii Play. But basically, that's the idea. Is I think they're gonna have a bunch of different mini games like that, including like air hockey and darts and stuff like that. And I think, of course, this will be a launch title as well. Now, after the hardware segment, I think they're actually just going to go straight into the games. And I think the first game they're going to show is going to be Mario Kart 9. Now, the thing is, I don't think it's going to be called Mario Kart 9. A lot of people think they will call it Mario Kart 9 just to avoid confusion, because Mario Kart 8 we already know about, and so that if they have like a subtitle, for example, then people might not be sure about which one's the newest. I don't really think that's going to be much of a problem, depending on how they choose to market it and how they choose to display on the eShop. And besides, Mario Kart 7 and 8 were called that because they're sister games that released at the same time. So I think they're removing themselves from that Wii U 3DS era by having a new title for this game, and I don't think it's going to be called Mario Kart 9. Now, what I do expect to see from this game is new tracks, and what I'm hoping for this time is, well, for one, I think bigger, more unique style of tracks. Now, more so what I want to see are tracks that are designed around a specific location in the Mario series, rather than what we have now, which is pretty much just like generic concepts of locations. Like, for example, we could get something with the Bean Bean Kingdom, and that's sort of what I want to go into, is I think they should have, like, go more into the Mario aspect of this. Now, don't just do like generic Mario locations, and of course have new stuff as well. Like Sunshine Airport is a good example of something that was like a new concept. But I think they should have like Bean Bean Kingdom, you know, or something like that, right? Something where it's like very specific to a specific game. Like they could have a Luncheon Kingdom course. I also think it'd be cool to bring back mission mode from Mario Kart DS. I think that'd be a really cool new thing that they could show that would actually make it, you know, more different than Mario Kart 8. Another thing I want to see in the track design is I want to see boats. Now, not necessarily like actually like Sonic Racing Transformed type of boats. What I want to see is they could just be like anti-gravity, but like you're racing on top of water, like because they haven't done that before, right? So they have, you know, normal road tracks, there's anti-gravity tracks, there's glider segments, there's parts you go underwater, but I want to see parts where you go on top of the water. I think that would work well for certain track designs. But I think it would add another layer of uniqueness to this Mario Kart and have more visual variety for each track. Now, another thing I want to see is some more characters added to the game. Now, they're probably still going to add more other Nintendo franchises like Kirby, but I do, like I said, want them to go harder into Mario itself. Like, why can't you race as a Goomba? So I want to see more Mario characters added, even if it's like, even like spin-off titles. Like, can you play as Snoutlet? I think that'd be pretty cool. Or you could also add Cappy to the game. But what I also want to see is some more costumes. Now, we have Yoshi and Shy Guy colors, so I think they could do that and sort of consolidate different, for example, Mario power-ups into just Mario. So if you select Mario, you can select between regular Mario, Fire Mario, Dr. Mario, you know, stuff like that. I don't think they need to go as hard with the costumes as they did in Mario Kart Tour, because some of those costumes are like things that don't even exist in the games. So I think it should be limited to stuff that actually does exist, but I think they should also add these costumes in general. But I would also love to see a Double Dash mode added. Now, of course, we do know there's 24 players in the game, and possibly the Double Dash mode would basically be 12 carts with 24 players. I think that'd be cool. Even if it's not like 24 actual players joining the game, because I think having 2 players online in Double Dash is kind of weird if you're on the same cart, but at least making it so that you can play in the Double Dash mode and swap between characters and stuff like that. Just as like a separate mode to the game. And I actually think the release date for this game will be shown as July. So I don't think it's going to be a launch title. I think they're going to show that at the end. Now, the order here doesn't really matter, except for the last game, but I just want to get into some other games that I think they might show. So next up is going to be a 3D Mario game. And for this game, I think it's going to be open world. Now, they did experiment with a completely open world game with Bowser's Fury, but of course that was pretty limited and it was using like the 3D World engine. It was like completely just weird and didn't really work as well. But this game would be built from the ground up specifically to be an open world 3D Mario game. And I think it's going to be in a completely new location we haven't seen before, and of course it's going to have like different biomes and areas and stuff, but I think it's going to be in a different location entirely. One thing that's completely new, sort of like how Odyssey added new kingdoms, but this is going to be just completely new. Again, we haven't seen anything like this before. Maybe you start in the Mushroom Kingdom, and then it goes to like the open world after that. But I think that's what they're going to do. And I also think they're going to show that you can actually ride on Yoshi in the open world. I think that'd be pretty cool. I also think it's very possible that they have multiple playable characters like Luigi or Peach or Toad, but I don't think they're going to show them here in this trailer because this is pretty much just a teaser, and I think it's just going to say Fall 2025. Now, another game I think they could show is Splatoon 4. Now, the thing is, it's pretty much well known that Animal Crossing and Splatoon are made by the same dev team, but sort of not really. The thing is, Nintendo Forecast actually did a really good video on this where he deep dived the credits of New Horizons and Splatoon 3. And basically what he found was that they were different teams for the most part. There was a little bit of crossover, but they were mostly separate. So I think there's enough teams to have Splatoon 4 and Animal Crossing be in development. I don't think Animal Crossing is going to show up here because I think that's a good title that they can wait on, like a huge title they can have like later, like 2027 or something like that. So it doesn't need to be here. And Nintendo generally likes to have Splatoon as like a constant thing, constantly getting updates, so I think it makes sense to have it here as well. Now, I think it is about time we got a Splatoon spin-off, but I don't think they're going to start the generation with a spin-off. It has to be a new game again before they start doing spin-offs. So for this game, I think it's going to be sort of like the Splatoon 3 trailer where they showed off like a story mode element first, and then afterward it jumped into multiplayer. And of course, I think we'll see new maps, new weapons and specials, but something that I think that's going to be really cool is in the hub world of Splatoon, normally you have all these characters walking around and you see like their messages and stuff, but this time I think it's actually going to be like actual live people, and they sort of showed that when you're waiting for a match in Splatoon 3, so I think this is actually going to be a live hub, sort of like an MMO type of hub that you can interact with people. Like live, you can see actually what they're doing and interact with each other. And I think this game is going to be dated as summer 2025. Now, I think they're actually going to tease the next 3D Zelda. Now, I do think that Ocarina of Time is actually going to come out before this next 3D Zelda, but I don't really think it's a good look to show a remake here instead of a new game, so I think they are going to tease the next 3D Zelda, and I think it's going to be a completely new art style than Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, because Tears of the Kingdom had that art style because it was a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild had that art style because it was on Wii U, and they needed to mask the low-quality models with cell shading if they really wanted to have this big open world. But now that's not really a problem because they can have more realistic graphics. Now, I don't think it's going to be as realistic as Twilight Princess was, but I think it's going to be more on that side, but like slightly more cartoony. Now, I don't want to bait anyone by saying this, but I think the most apt comparison would be the 2011 Wii U tech demo. I think it's going to look something like that. Not necessarily exactly like that, but sort of in that type of style. And I also think it's not going to take place in Hyrule. Not that I think we're going to really have a good idea of that from the teaser, because it's just going to be a very short teaser, maybe like 20 seconds or something like that. But I do think they're going to show that it's probably not in Hyrule anymore, or give some sort of hint that it's not in Hyrule, and also that the villain is not Ganon. I also don't think we're going to see a date on this at all. I'm not even going to say a year. It's just going to move right into the next thing. Something I don't see anyone talking about, however, is a new Star Fox game. And yes, I am going to be bold, and I'm going to predict Star Fox in this Direct. Now, I think part of the reason that this is actually a good game to show here is actually twofold. For one, it's a good sort of bigger type of game that Nintendo could show that could be pretty graphically impressive for the new console. And we actually haven't seen it in a while, so it'd be pretty exciting. So the last new Star Fox game we got was Star Fox Zero in 2016. Let's count Star Fox 2 in 2017, but that technically wasn't a Switch game. And the Star Fox content in Starlink, which wasn't technically like a full Star Fox game. Of course, that was just Starlink. But technically it was on Switch, but we didn't actually get a new Star Fox game on Switch, so I think bringing it back now would actually be pretty exciting. As far as the game itself is concerned, I actually think it's going to be pretty normal. Like, for the most part, they're going to show like the normal stuff you see, the on-rail sections, the dogfights and stuff like that. However, I do think they could also add in some on-foot sections. I think that'd be pretty cool. And also having other ground missions in general, such as, like Landmaster or the R-Wing Walker. And I'm hoping that this wouldn't be yet another retread of Star Fox 64, but knowing Nintendo, it probably will be. But that said, I am hoping for some new type of vehicles and stuff that they could do. Again, like I said, I do want basically everything that was in Star Fox Zero to be brought over. So the R-Wing, the all-range mode, the walker sections, I think that'd be pretty cool. The Landmaster, even the gyro wing would be cool. But I think a really cool thing that they could show would be the multiplayer. Now, of course, you'll have like dogfights and stuff, but I think what would be really cool is if they sort of have a Star Fox 2 type of mode. And for those of you who haven't played Star Fox 2, basically the game isn't like the other ones where it's like you go from planet to planet and then just like go on a mission on rails. Star Fox 2 is actually sort of like an RTS, and basically you have these different planets and stuff you go to where Andross is attacking, and you have to get there before Corneria is destroyed by missiles, basically. And then once you go to the planet, you actually have a mission, whether it be on foot. Usually you have like the walker sections, and then you go like into a base to destroy the core. I think that'd be pretty cool. And basically what you would do is it would be multiplayer. So one person is controlling Team Star Fox and trying to defend the planet, and the other team is Team Andross, and you're basically sending out missiles and Starwolf to basically stop Team Star Fox. So I think that would be a pretty cool mode to add. As for the release date, I think they would probably just say 2025, and I personally think this is the type of game that would be a great December game, but of course they're not going to say that, they would just say 2025. Now, of course, you can't have a Nintendo Direct without third-party games, so I think what they're going to show here are games, for the most part, that aren't on Switch. So we're going to see Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're going to see Doom the Dark Ages, I think we'll see Sea of Thieves, possibly a new Atlas game. I think that'd be cool. Some people have been saying Persona 6, some people have been saying that they might not have a new thing. I mean, they showed Shin Megami Tensei 5 in the 2017 trailer, but I think a new Atlas game sort of makes sense here. Now, of course, they might still show some games that are on Switch, such as Sonic Racing Crossworlds, but I think for the most part, it's going to be stuff that wasn't already on Nintendo Switch. But I think most of the third-party games are going to be stuff that we already know exists on other platforms, aside from, like I said, maybe like an Atlas game. Now, what I think they're actually going to close on is going to be Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Now, what I think we're going to see is actually going to be a more action-packed trailer than what we saw on the Switch 1 Direct, and I think it's going to be a lot more visually impressive. Maybe it's not like super visually impressive, obviously it's like sort of like PS4 level, but I think it's going to still look really good, and it's going to look better than the Switch 1 version. And I think we'll also see like a new look at Sylux, and I think we're actually going to see the Federation in in this, and we're going to see some voice acting, or hear some voice acting in the trailer as well. And of course, at the end of the trailer, I think it's just going to say the release date, June 5th, 2025. So it's going to be a launch title. Now, people have debated, is it going to be Mario Kart? Is it going to be Metroid? Now, the reason why I say it's going to be Metroid instead of Mario Kart is because Metroid, because it was an American-developed game, it is most likely Nintendo's most expensive game they ever made. And if they want to maximize the amount of money they get back from it, well, first of all, I think they're making Metroid Prime 5 to put all that training, that Metroid training into use. But second of all, I think in order to maximize this, you want to release it alongside your new console. That's why they released Breath of the Wild on Switch. That's why they released Twilight Princess on the Wii. So I think it's going to be the same thing here. Plus, it works to have a big single-player game at launch. And I don't think they're going to have 3D Mario at launch without having showed it for a year. Breath of the Wild worked because we had already seen it before. I think that's going to be the same story with Metroid Prime 4. I think that's going to be the launch title. It's going to be epic. And my friend Bo actually had a good point on this, and I think it's pretty it's a good quote that he said. He basically said, "The Switch 2 doesn't need Metroid Prime 4, but Metroid Prime 4 needs the Switch 2." And I think that's a good point, right? People might say, oh, Metroid's not big enough to launch a console with. But the thing is, the Switch 2 would sell out even if it had 0 launch games. It doesn't matter, because you're not going to be able to get one for months anyway. Like, you're not going to be able to walk into a store and get one. You have to, be a hawk on this console. So, by the time you actually get to the point that people can actually walk into a store and buy one, it's going to have 3D Mario on it. It's going to have Mario Kart on it. It's going to have Splatoon on it. It's going to have all these other games on it. That Metroid by itself won't be the thing that's carrying it. But if they have Metroid Prime 4 at launch, people are going to buy the console at launch and buy Metroid Prime 4 alongside it, because what else are you going to play? Some third-party games that are already on PS5? You're going to play the EPD4 game? You're going to play Mario Kart? Except no, you're not, because Mario Kart's not there yet. Oops, well, I got to play Metroid Prime 4. But anyway, that's pretty much my predictions and hope for the Switch 2 Direct. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you're predicting. Let me know what you think the launch title is going to be, and any other thing you want to talk about. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.